Welcome, beautiful Sigma ladies. The older I got, the quieter I became, not because I lost words, but because I finally understood who deserved my silence. There's a strange kind of power that comes with growing into yourself, the kind that doesn't roar, but resonates. As a Sigma female, you learn that life isn't about collecting people, it's about collecting peace. And sometimes peace looks like deleting your entire contact list and sleeping like a baby afterward. Statistically, most women admit they spent their 20s trying to fit in. But no one tells you that the real glow-up happens when you stop auditioning for acceptance and start directing your own solitude. That's when you become untouchable, magnetic, and just a little bit intimidating to those still playing social games. This isn't the be strong, be independent pep talk. No, this is the unfiltered truth I wish my younger self knew. The kind of truth that doesn't sound nice, but sets you free. So lean in, because what's coming next isn't advice for the faint-hearted. It's a manual for every Sigma woman who finally realized she was never meant to blend in. Number 1, your intuition is your navigation system. Not a suggestion box. Your intuition isn't a casual whisper you can ignore. It's the internal compass that knows the terrain before your mind does. For Sigma females, ignoring it is like refusing to read a map while walking through a minefield. It doesn't just cost discomfort, it can cost years of wasted energy, heartbreak, and unnecessary drama. The thing about intuition is that it doesn't negotiate or sugarcoat. It doesn't say, maybe this will work out. It states facts silently, firmly, and often without explanation. And the moment you doubt it, life becomes a series of avoidable collisions with people, situations, and choices that were never meant for you. Intuition is sharper than logic because it doesn't rely on what's visible or socially acceptable. It senses motives, patterns, and energy shifts before words are spoken or lies are masked. It doesn't care if your ego wants to give someone the benefit of the doubt. It sees through it immediately. That's why the Sigma woman who listens to herself rarely needs to backtrack. She knows who will uplift her, who will drain her, and who will pretend to care just long enough to exploit a weakness. Life becomes simpler when you trust that voice because it's already running 3 steps ahead while the world is busy convincing you to follow the crowd. Ignoring your intuition is exhausting. Every time you overthink, rationalize, or seek validation, you're drowning out the most reliable guidance you'll ever receive. The people who understand this don't waste time explaining or defending their instincts. They act with quiet precision, making choices that feel almost invisible at first, but reveal their genius later. Your intuition isn't just a feeling. It's a weapon, a shield, and a GPS rolled into one. Treat it as sacred. Listen to it without negotiation, without compromise. When you finally respect it fully, life stops being a chaotic series of what-ifs and becomes a deliberate, strategic path toward freedom, clarity, and power. The Sigma woman who trusts herself never stumbles in the dark. She knows she's already seen the light. Number 2, the less you announce, the more they assume, and that's your leverage. There's an invisible power in saying less than you feel, showing less than you own, and revealing less than you know. Sigma females understand this instinctively, even when the world doesn't. The less you talk about your plans, your achievements, or your boundaries, the more people fill in the gaps with assumptions, and most of the time, their assumptions are inflated, exaggerated, or downright impressed. That's not coincidence, it's leverage. Silence and restraint force others to engage with your presence, not your explanations. It creates a kind of magnetism that can't be replicated by words, status, or flashy displays. When you constantly announce your wins or overshare your intentions, you hand people the keys to your power. They start measuring you, predicting you, or worse, trying to control you. Oversharing is a subtle form of vulnerability disguised as openness, and it dilutes your energy. Sigma females understand that influence doesn't require applause. Influence comes from the subtle tension between what is known and what remains untouchable. People notice it subconsciously. They can't help but lean in, curious, unsettled, or even a little intimidated, all without you lifting a finger. This principle applies to all aspects of life: work, relationships, and social dynamics. Don't tell them why you're doing something. Don't reveal your next move. Don't justify your choices to people who aren't invested in your growth. Let your actions speak quietly but impactfully. When the world tries to interpret your silence, it often overestimates your power, and that overestimation becomes your tool. You gain respect, attention, and influence without negotiation. The Sigma female who masters this doesn't perform or project. She simply exists, deliberate and unreadable, letting curiosity, envy, and admiration do the work for her. In a culture obsessed with transparency, her discretion becomes revolutionary. The less you announce, the more your presence commands. The more they assume, the stronger you become. Silence in this sense is not absence, it's authority. It's a subtle, unshakable power that no one can replicate, and it's the most effective leverage you'll ever have. Number 3, you'll scare people. Not because you're cruel, but because you're unbuyable. True Sigma power isn't about aggression or intimidation. It's about being completely untouchable. You don't need to yell, manipulate, or prove yourself to anyone. And that's exactly what makes people uncomfortable around you. The Sigma female who refuses to be bought, swayed, or emotionally blackmailed becomes terrifying to those who thrive on control. They are used to leverage, favors, guilt, flattery, or even fear. But when you operate outside their systems, you break the rules they've relied on to dominate others. That's when respect, envy, and intimidation collide. Being unbuyable doesn't just mean financially independent. It's about emotional independence, intellectual sovereignty, and moral clarity. You don't bend to peer pressure. You don't compromise your values for temporary gain. You don't perform for approval. People notice this because it's rare. Most are used to bending, negotiating, and finding loopholes to get what they want. But when you are immovable, when your energy is untouchable, you expose their own weaknesses. That exposure makes them wary, cautious, even fearful. Not because you're cruel, but because you cannot be contained. The irony is that the more untouchable you are, the less effort you actually put in. You don't need to prove dominance, argue for respect, or display strength. You simply live according to your own code, and your consistency does the work for you. People may try to test you, manipulate you, or push your boundaries, but they quickly realize you aren't negotiable. That realization is both frightening and magnetic. Unbuyable Sigma females understand that their value isn't dictated by external validation. They hold their energy like a rare currency, and they spend it only where it aligns with their purpose. That's why some will fear you, some will admire you, and some will try to exploit you. But none can truly control you. In a world where most people can be swayed, persuaded, or broken, being unbuyable is the ultimate form of quiet power. It's not loud, it's not aggressive, but it's absolute. And those who feel it can't help but respect it or fear it. Number 4, never dim your light. Just to be understood. Your light, your presence, and your truth are not negotiable commodities. Sigma females often wrestle with the urge to simplify, to explain, or to tone themselves down just so others can keep up. But the moment you start dimming your brilliance for someone else, you begin to lose yourself. People will always misunderstand you if your essence doesn't fit neatly into their expectations. The world is not designed to accommodate extraordinary women. It's designed to measure them against mediocrity. Trying to make yourself relatable, palatable, or understandable only waters down the power you were born with. Being misunderstood is not a flaw, it is proof of originality. When you operate on a frequency others can't grasp, they may feel threatened, envious, or confused, but that is a sign that you are on the right path. The Sigma female who refuses to compromise her light quickly learns that clarity is overrated when the cost is your authenticity. People may label you as difficult, intense, or unreachable, but those words are reflections of their limitations, not yours. Your light isn't a puzzle for others to solve. It's a signal for those who are ready to see it, and a mirror for those who aren't. You don't owe anyone comprehension. Every time you justify yourself, you lend credibility to the idea that your brilliance needs approval. Every time you shrink to avoid discomfort in others, you chip away at the foundation of your own influence. Sigma females understand that true power lies in unapologetic presence. You can't be anyone else, and you shouldn't be. Your thoughts, your energy, and your standards exist independently of who can or cannot grasp them. When you stop dimming yourself, life stops being a negotiation between who you are and who others want you to be. You become magnetic, self-sufficient, and unstoppable, simply because your authenticity can't be replicated, purchased, or controlled. To live fully as a Sigma female means to shine in full color, even if the world only catches glimpses. The moment you accept that, you stop seeking permission, stop explaining your worth, and finally walk in a light that no one can steal. Your brilliance is not a burden. It is your power, and it demands to be seen. Number 5. Protect your emotional energy like a currency. Because it is emotional energy is the most valuable currency a Sigma female will ever possess. Unlike money, it cannot be earned back once spent, and unlike possessions, it cannot be replaced when it's depleted by the wrong people. Every interaction, every relationship, every conversation carries a cost, and if you aren't careful, you'll spend yourself on those who are unworthy, without even realizing it. People will try to borrow your focus, drain your patience, or manipulate your empathy, and unless you set limits, you'll find yourself bankrupt in spirit long before you notice the signs. As you grow older, you begin to understand that money lost can often be recovered, but time and energy invested in the wrong people cannot. Every wasted hour, every emotional overreach, and every compromise for someone who doesn't value you chips away at your inner reserves. That's why the Sigma female treats her emotional energy like gold. She measures who gets access, for how long, and under what circumstances. She doesn't apologize for walking away from conversations that leave her drained, relationships that feel one-sided, or social obligations that consume more than they contribute. The beauty of this principle is that it creates clarity. People who are toxic, shallow, or draining naturally fall away when you prioritize your energy. This isn't about being cold, it's about being strategic. By protecting your emotional currency, you preserve the space needed for growth, creativity, and authentic connections with people who respect your boundaries. You stop giving free access to emotional bank accounts you can't afford to empty. Eventually, you'll notice a shift. The things that once stressed you, the people who once consumed you, and the dramas that once demanded your attention lose all significance. You care less about lost opportunities to please others, and more about preserving your reserves for what actually matters. Emotional energy is not limitless, but when managed wisely, it becomes your ultimate power, your shield, your compass, and your silent strength. Treat it as such, because once you do, you stop being a resource for everyone else and start being the architect of your own life. Number 6. Some battles are won by walking away. First, walking away isn't weakness. It's strategy. Sigma females understand that not every fight is worth engaging, and not every argument is a test that needs passing. While most people exhaust themselves in endless tug-of-war over opinions, ego, or petty control, the Sigma mind evaluates the cost of engagement before committing a single ounce of energy. Retreat, in this sense, isn't surrender. It's an act of preservation, a conscious choice to protect your mental clarity, emotional balance, and long-term influence. There's a subtle genius in stepping back. When others are caught in the chaos of confrontation, the Sigma female observes, calculates, and waits for the moment when her absence carries more weight than her presence ever could. Walking away first flips the dynamic. It creates tension, uncertainty, and respect because people are conditioned to assume that retreat equals defeat. They don't realize that the Sigma mind is already 3 moves ahead, seeing opportunities they can't even comprehend. While the crowd argues, negotiates, and overcommits, she conserves her power, preserving it for battles that truly matter. This approach applies to relationships, workplace politics, and social circles. People often mistake persistence for loyalty or stubbornness for dedication, but a Sigma female knows that energy wasted on the wrong engagement is energy stolen from her goals and growth. Every decision to step back is a deliberate choice, a silent statement that she controls her space and her priorities. Walking away first also forces the world to respect your boundaries. People notice when you refuse to fight on terms that diminish you. The ones who truly matter will follow, adjust, or recalibrate their approach. The rest reveal themselves as distractions or drains. Strategic withdrawal becomes a tool, a form of quiet influence that others fail to anticipate or counter. In the end, the Sigma female doesn't need to exhaust herself proving a point. Her strength lies in knowing when to engage and when to step aside. By walking away first, she wins not through confrontation, but through mastery, mastering her energy, her choices, and the long game that most people never even see. Number 7. Not everyone deserves to know your depth. Your depth is a weapon, a sanctuary, and a responsibility all at once. Sigma females carry layers of insight, intuition, and perception that most people aren't equipped to handle. Sharing it indiscriminately is like handing a loaded gun to someone who can't even hold it properly. They'll fumble, misuse it, or react in ways that drain your energy without giving anything meaningful back. Most people operate on the surface, and your clarity, awareness, and perspective can suffocate them if they're not ready to see it. Depth isn't a social accessory. It's a force, and it should be treated with discernment. The challenge is knowing when to reveal and when to observe. Observing gives you power because it allows you to understand people before exposing yourself. When you stay silent, you learn the layers of character that others hide beneath masks, filters, or pretenses. You notice the motives, weaknesses, and patterns that shape behavior, and you can act accordingly without unnecessary exposure. Mystery becomes a natural filter. People who aren't meant to connect with you on a deeper level will drift away, leaving space for relationships that actually add value. Being mysterious isn't about being secretive for attention. It's about self-preservation and strategy. Every time you share your inner workings with someone unprepared, you risk being misunderstood, manipulated, or devalued. Depth should empower, not endanger. By keeping certain truths to yourself, you maintain your sovereignty and create an aura that commands respect, intrigue, and caution. Your insight is not a gift for everyone. It's a tool for those who are aligned with your energy, and a mirror for those who can't handle the reflection of their own shallow thinking. Learning this early prevents wasted effort, disappointment, and emotional exhaustion. Mystery isn't a burden, it's armor. It protects your energy, enhances your influence, and ensures that your brilliance is reserved for those capable of appreciating it. Your depth is sacred. Treat it like the rare and powerful resource it is. Number 8. You don't owe anyone access to your peace. Your peace is your most valuable asset, and it is not up for negotiation. Sigma females quickly realize that not everyone is equipped to respect boundaries, especially when those boundaries highlight the difference between stability and chaos. People who are uncomfortable in their own turmoil often look for someone to lean on, someone calm, grounded, and unwavering, and they will instinctively try to pull you into their vortex. These emotional parasites don't care about your well-being. They care only about filling their void, and your energy becomes the easiest resource for them to exploit. Learning to protect yourself isn't selfish, it's survival. Starving these energy drains politely, without drama or confrontation, is an art. You don't need to explain why you won't absorb their chaos, nor do you need to justify your boundaries. Silence, firmness, and selective engagement are far more effective than arguments or guilt trips. The Sigma female understands that her peace is a fortress. Letting others invade it compromises her clarity, her intuition, and her ability to operate strategically in every area of life. Over time, you'll notice a pattern. The less accessible you are to people who thrive on emotional consumption, the clearer your world becomes. Relationships with value remain, and those that were disguised as friendships but functioned as drains fade away naturally. By choosing when, how, and with whom you share your calm, you preserve not only your mental and emotional health, but also your influence. Peace is not a service you provide. It is a state you cultivate. You cannot control how others handle their chaos, but you can control how much of it touches you. Standing firm in this principle may make some uncomfortable, but discomfort is not your responsibility. It is a reflection of their inability to manage themselves. Protecting your peace is not just about avoiding toxicity. It's about honoring your own power, ensuring your energy remains yours, and letting the world learn, slowly and respectfully, that your stability is not negotiable. Number 9. Being different isn't the struggle, it's the responsibility. Being different isn't a curse or a struggle, it's a responsibility that most people aren't prepared to handle. Sigma females see the world through a lens that others can't even comprehend. While most follow well-worn paths, they walk roads no one built, notice patterns others ignore, and sense truths that society conveniently overlooks. That clarity isn't just insight, it's a burden, because with understanding comes accountability. You can't pretend to be ordinary when your vision exposes the ordinary for what it is. Life becomes complicated when you see what others can't. Decisions that seem easy to the crowd are layered with unseen consequences for you. You notice the subtle manipulations, the hidden motives, and the invisible risks before anyone else does. While others chase short-term gains or fleeting comfort, you carry the weight of foresight. And that weight can feel isolating. Most will not understand why you act differently, why you reject what seems normal, or why you prioritize principles over popularity. That's because responsibility for vision often separates you from the herd. The Sigma female who embraces her difference doesn't shrink to make others comfortable. She doesn't water down her perspective to avoid scrutiny or fit into societal molds. Instead, she shoulders the responsibility of her awareness with precision, patience, and self-reliance. The roads she walks are lonely at times, but they lead to places others could never reach because they lacked the courage or insight to venture beyond the familiar. Being different demands boundaries, discernment, and a steadfast commitment to self-guided purpose. It's not about being rebellious or contrarian for attention. It's about honoring the clarity you've been given. Accepting this responsibility means understanding that life will not always be simple, relationships will be tested, and choices will often be misunderstood. But it also means your journey is yours alone, uniquely powerful, unapologetically real, and capable of shaping a reality that most will never even imagine. Being different isn't a struggle, it's the calling you were meant to answer. Number 10. Some people only mirror your light to study how to dim it. Not everyone who admires you is genuinely supportive. Sigma females quickly learn that some people are drawn to their energy not to uplift, but to analyze, imitate, and ultimately undermine it. These individuals mirror your tone, your discipline, your habits, and even the confidence you carry, thinking that by replicating your moves, they can neutralize your advantage. They are not inspired, they are calculating. They want to understand the mechanics of your light so they can manipulate it, compete with it, or quietly diminish it without ever confronting you directly. The truly revealing part is silence. While they can copy your words, mimic your actions, and shadow your routines, they cannot touch your silence. Your ability to observe, reflect, and act with precise restraint is inaccessible to them. Silence exposes the gaps in their own character, showing them the weaknesses they can't disguise. That's why they fear it, why they try to provoke reactions, and why they study your behavior obsessively. Your inner power, the calm, untouchable part of you that doesn't need validation, is what terrifies them most. Recognizing this dynamic is crucial. It teaches you to protect the most authentic parts of yourself, the ones that cannot be mirrored or measured. Your discipline, your aura, and your consistency are impressive, but your unspoken strength is sacred. When others attempt to imitate, they are revealing their insecurity more than they are flattering you. The Sigma female uses this knowledge strategically. She continues to shine, but she reveals only what serves her purpose and keeps the rest guarded. Understanding that people may try to study your light to dim it shifts the perspective on envy, competition, and relationships. Instead of taking it personally, you see it as a measure of your power and influence. The stronger your light, the more they will attempt to analyze it, but none of it matters unless you allow it. Your silence, your integrity, and your unshakable presence remain untouched, because true Sigma strength can be mirrored but never replicated. Number 11. Emotional intelligence. Without emotional detachment becomes self-sabotage. Emotional intelligence is a gift, but without boundaries, it can become a trap. Sigma females often feel deeply. They notice subtleties, sense shifts in energy, and empathize with struggles that others overlook. That depth is a strength, but it carries risk. When emotional intelligence is not paired with detachment, it turns into self-sabotage. Feeling everyone else's pain, carrying everyone else's burdens, and constantly trying to fix what isn't yours to fix, slowly corrodes your energy, your clarity, and your inner peace. Compassion without filters is dangerous. When you allow people to dump their unresolved chaos into your life, you aren't helping them, you're draining yourself. Some people refuse to swim. They cling to the shallows, feeding off the stability of those willing to rescue them. If you jump in every time, you become exhausted, resentful, and distracted from your own path. The Sigma female learns that feeling deeply does not mean sacrificing her center. She understands that boundaries are not cruelty, they are preservation. Detachment allows you to act with empathy without being engulfed by someone else's storm. This balance transforms emotional intelligence into power. It allows you to navigate relationships with precision, respond with clarity instead of reaction, and maintain stability when others are in chaos. You can care, support, and guide without being consumed. You can influence without being entangled. Without detachment, emotional intelligence becomes a liability that others exploit, often unknowingly. The lesson is clear. Feel, observe, understand, but do not drown. Your compassion is your strength only when it is intentional and selective. Let those who are willing swim on their own, and save your energy for those who align with your values and respect your boundaries. Emotional intelligence paired with detachment is not coldness, it's mastery. It's the Sigma female's secret to remaining unshakable, effective, and untouchable in a world that often mistakes sensitivity for weakness. Number 12. You can't out-heal people who are committed to staying broken. Empathy is powerful, but it has limits, especially when others are determined to remain in their pain. Sigma females often carry a natural inclination to help, to guide, and to heal. It feels instinctive to offer energy, insight, and support to those who are struggling. But there comes a point where your empathy meets resistance, and no amount of effort can change someone who has decided that their wounds are more comfortable than growth. Your compassion is not a factory. It doesn't produce unlimited healing for people who refuse to do the work themselves. Some people cling to their struggles because it gives them identity, control, or justification. They may take your guidance, your attention, and even your patience, but they never truly move forward. No matter how much you offer, their commitment to their brokenness outweighs their desire to heal. Trying to force change only drains your energy, clouds your judgment, and distracts you from the people and pursuits that actually deserve your care. Recognizing this isn't harshness, it's wisdom. The Sigma female understands the boundaries of her empathy. She offers support without attachment to the outcome. She can feel deeply and care genuinely, but she does not let her energy be exploited or her peace be disrupted. Letting people stay in their chosen chaos doesn't mean abandoning them. It means valuing your own strength and acknowledging the truth of their path. Some souls are meant to walk alone until they decide otherwise. Accepting this reality frees you from unnecessary guilt and emotional exhaustion. Your role is not to fix everyone, but to preserve your own clarity, growth, and power. Empathy becomes a tool, not a trap. You invest where it matters and let go where it doesn't. Healing is a choice, and some will never make it, and that's their lesson, not yours. By letting go, you honor your energy, your wisdom, and the natural flow of life without carrying the weight of others' refusal to change. Becoming the Sigma female you were always meant to be isn't about following trends, seeking approval, or softening yourself to fit into the expectations of others. It's about embracing your depth, trusting your intuition, guarding your energy, and walking through life with a quiet, unshakable authority. Every lesson, every boundary, every moment of strategic silence is a piece of the armor that allows you to move through the world on your own terms, unbought, unbothered, and unapologetically authentic. The truths we've explored today are not just ideas to admire from afar, they are actions to embody. Protect your peace like a fortress. Trust the instincts that others dismiss. Walk away from chaos that drains you and shine in ways that will never be fully understood by the shallow or insecure. Your light, your boundaries, and your wisdom are your most powerful tools, and they are only as effective as the respect you give them. Every choice you make to preserve your energy, assert your independence, and honor your vision compounds into a life that is extraordinary by design, not by accident. Being a Sigma female isn't easy. It is isolating at times, it is challenging, and it will test your resolve constantly. But in that struggle lies freedom. Freedom from manipulation, from superficial validation, and from a world that wants you small. Embrace the responsibility of your difference, the power of your silence, and the unwavering strength of your authenticity. You are not here to fit in. You are here to lead without a crown, to influence without explanation, and to shine without compromise. If this resonated with you, take it further. Subscribe to the channel to continue unlocking the hidden power within yourself. comment below, and share your experiences. Your insights might just be the spark someone else needs to finally embrace their own Sigma energy. And don't forget to share this with those who are ready to stop settling, start observing, and finally take control of their lives on their own terms. Your transformation starts here, and your influence has no limits.